Okay. So, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the class. So, yesterday, just I covered a part of the laterally unsupported beam design. Okay, as I said, there is no design for you. It is only the procedure on how to design a laterally supported beam. Okay, so I'm explaining the procedure through an example. So I covered this part for how to find out Mmax. And also I covered the next step, that is calculation of required section modulus. So I'm going to go over it briefly once again. So I'm going to make use of this formula, that is MD equal to beta B ZP Fy divided by gamma MO. So that formula, one second please. So this formula I got from 8.2.1 for laterally supported beam. Okay, using that formula, I calculated what is the ZP value. So in place of MD, I substituted the value of design bending moment due to the design load. Okay, I calculated ZP. So I calculated ZP for a laterally supported beam. Because ours is the case of laterally unsupported beam, so we should take into account the lateral torsional buckling. Okay, so due to lateral torsional buckling, the value of the stress in the steel is not going to be Fy divided by gamma MO. Instead, it is going to be less than Fy divided by gamma MO. So as a result, so to carry the load, we need higher section. So for that, we are going to increase the value of ZP by 25 to 50%. In this case, I increase the value of ZP by 50%. So whatever the value I get, I call that as ZP required. Okay. So 1578 centimeter cube. And then go to page number 138 and 139, annexure H of the code book. Okay, there you select a section. What is a section? We are going to select. We are going to select ISWB, that is Indian Standard Wide Beam, 450 at 778.9 Newton per meter. Okay, so what is the ZP value of ISWB 450? So that is called as ZPZ in the code book, that is equal to 1760.59 centimeter cube. So whatever ZPZ value we have selected is greater than ZP required. Therefore, we shall go ahead with ISWB 450. Just because we selected ISWB 450, it does not mean that the section is going to be adequate. By knowing the section and all the details of this section, now what we can do is we can check whether the section is capable of withstanding the required bending moment, required shear force, and does it satisfy the condition of deflection, web buckling, and web crippling. So all those things we are going to do. Because we selected this section, we are going to write the properties of the section. Okay. So this is the I section we have selected, that is ISWB 450. Okay, and these are the details of the section. So you are going to get details of that particular section from steel table as well as from the steel code book on page 138. Okay, so if you don't find something from the steel table, you go to the code book. If you don't something from the code book, then you go to the steel table. So if you put them together, you will get all the details of that section. Okay, that's what I have written here. And as far as name is concerned, they are called by different names. Okay, say for example, breadth of flange is 200 millimeter as per the code. Okay, if you go to the steel table, they are going to call the breadth of flange as B. Whereas B in the steel code is BF by 2. So just you'll have to be careful, don't get confused with those things. So these are the section details after opening the section. Then we have to check what class the section belongs to, whether it belongs to a plastic section or a compact section or a semi-compact section. So how do we do that? By checking the elements of the section. So what are the elements of the I section? Flange is an element and web is an element. Okay. So by checking the half the width of the flange to the thickness of the flange ratio, and if it is less than 9.4 epsilon, and also then the flange is plastic. I'll find out what is d by tw. If it is less than 84 epsilon, then the section is, the web is plastic. When both the elements of the I section are plastic, then the entire section is plastic. So as I said before, so the hierarchy will be like this: topmost is plastic, next compact, and the next one is semi-compact. If one element is, say, plastic, say flange is plastic, if the web is semi-compact, so then the entire section should be considered as semi-compact. Okay. So coming to check for bending moment. See, in the case of laterally unsupported beam, bending moment is the toughest part. That is, finding out the design bending strength of the section is the toughest part, because it takes into account the lateral torsional buckling, wherein the stress developed in the section we have selected is not going to be Fy divided by gamma MO, where Fy is the yield stress. Instead, it is going to be less than Fy divided by gamma MO. So the painful part is to find out what is FBD value, that is the actual design bending stress in the material, as I said, which is less than Fy divided by gamma MO. Okay. So what formula we need to make use of? Yes, please open page number 54 of the code book. Please open it. I'll give you 10-15 seconds. Page 54, IS 800. Okay, left column under 8.2.2, laterally unsupported beam. Okay, those 3 points are discussed already. Let us come to the formula MD equal to beta B ZP FBD. So I explained this yesterday. So this is MD equal to beta B ZP FBD. Compare that with the formula on page 53 under 8.2.1.2. Go back to the previous page, wherein you will see MD equal to beta B ZP Fy divided by gamma MO. See this, Fy divided by gamma MO, that is a design yield stress. Okay, so in this formula on page 54, it is not Fy divided by gamma MO, it is FBD. Okay, what is FBD? Design bending compressive stress. So as I said, finding out this value is the painful part. So how do we find out that? So if you, whatever formula I have written, I have taken directly from the code book. So looking at the code book, please refer the code book. So looking at the code book, MD equal to beta B ZP FBD. So here beta B will be known. It is equal to 1 if it is a plastic or a compact section, or else beta B equal to ZE divided by ZP for a semi-compact section. So beta B, no problem. So ZP is nothing but ZPZ of the section we have selected. And we have to find out FBD, that is the design compressive stress, or the compressive stress at which the beam yields or fails as a result of lateral torsional buckling. So how do you find out FBD? So again, in the same column, if you go below, where you see beta B equal to something, ZPZ equal to something, FBD equal to something, Just below that, there is a formula given in one line, that is FBD equal to chi LT. It is not X. It is chi, CHI, chi LT Fy divided by gamma MO. So that is the way you are going to find out FBD. So to find out FBD, here Fy is known, that is 250, and gamma MO is known, that is 1.10. The only thing we don't know is chi LT, that is bending stress reduction factor. Okay. So to know what is chi value, again you go down further. So if you go down further, you'll see the formula chi LT equal to 1 divided by phi LT plus phi LT square minus lambda LT square whole to the power of 0.5, and that should be less than or at most equal to 1. If it exceeds 1, take the value of chi LT equal to 1. Okay. So in this case, for chi LT, to find chi LT, you are supposed to know phi LT and lambda LT. Okay, to find out phi LT, again go down. There is a formula to find out phi LT. Okay, so that is 0.5 within brackets 1 plus alpha LT, again open a bracket, alpha LT minus 0.2, close the bracket, plus lambda, not lambda LT square. Okay, so again, we need to know what is alpha LT and lambda LT. How do you find out? So again, you go down. There you will see alpha LT equal to 0.21 for rolled steel section and alpha LT equal to 0.49 for welded steel section. Ours is a rolled steel section. Take alpha LT equal to 0.21. So one unknown is known now. Okay. Going further, what else do we need? We need lambda LT. To know lambda LT, go down further. So it says lambda LT equal to square root of beta B ZP Fy divided by MCR, and of course that should be less than or at most equal to square root of 1.2 ZE Fy divided by MCR. So in this formula, beta B is known, that is 1 for a plastic section. ZP is nothing but ZPZ of the section we have selected. That is also known. Fy is known. The only thing we don't know here in this formula is MCR. Okay. So find out what is MCR. What is MCR? That is the elastic critical moment calculated in accordance with 8.2.2.1. Where is 8.2.2.1? On the same page, go to the next column. It says elastic lateral torsional buckling moment. Okay. So here, to find out MCR, we have a formula. It is a complex formula. There is something under root sign. So that is equated to beta B ZP FCR comma B. Is it not? So that formula can be used. If you come down further, there is a formula to find out FCRB equal to something. It's a complex formula. So don't use these two, because it's a complex formula. Of course, there is nothing wrong if you use it. But if you go down further, there is a formula to find out MCR equal to pi square EIYHF divided by 2 LLT square. Then open the bracket. Okay. Within bracket, there is something. Okay. Use that formula. That is easier than the formula given above. So on what basis we are using this? If you go above that formula, there is a paragraph written, the following that says, I'm going to read out that paragraph. The following simplified equation may be used in the case of prismatic members made of standard rolled eye sections and welded doubly symmetric eye sections for calculating the elastic lateral buckling moment MCR. So according to this paragraph, so this equation is a simplified formula. or simplified equation, okay, that can be used only when the member is a prismatic member. Of course, our I section we have selected is a prismatic member, okay, made of standard rolled I sections. Of course it is. Okay, and welded doubly symmetric I sections, no, it is not. Ours is not welded. So ours is this one, prismatic member of standard rolled section. So that's why we are going to make use of MCR equal to pi square EIY HF divided by 2 LLT square, etc. Okay. So in this formula, we are going to substitute all the values to get MCR. So once the value of MCR is known, so go up, okay, keep going up in the code book itself. There you will see again lambda LT equal to square root of something should be less than equal to square root of 1.2 ZEFY divided by MCR. Now we know MCR, substitute the value of MCR there. So you get the value of lambda LT. Once you know the lambda LT, go up and substitute in the formula given above, that is phi LT equal to 0.5 within bracket something, and substitute all the values because we know all the values to get the value of phi LT. Once you have the value of phi LT, go one step up again. Okay, substitute the values, get the value of chi LT. Now it is not XLT, again it is chi LT. And of course that should be less than or equal to 1. If not less than equal to 1, that means if it is greater than 1, then you take 1. Okay? Or else take whatever the value you get, that is going to be less than 1. So once you have the value of chi LT, again go up and substitute the value of chi LT in that equation FBD equal to chi LT Fy divided by gamma MO. Then you will get the value of FBD if you observe that value. So that is going to be less than Fy divided by gamma MO value. Okay. Once you have the value of FBD, again go up and substitute the value of FBD in the above equation to find out what is MD, that is the design strength of the laterally unsupported beam. Once you have that value, compare that value with the design bending moment, and that that MD value, that is the design bending strength of the section, should be greater than the design bending moment caused due to the design load coming on the beam. Okay, so that is the way we are going to check. So again, laterally supported beam, in the previous case, it was very easy. That was MD equal to beta B ZP divided by Fy divided by gamma MO, just single shot. But in this case, so it's a complex formula. In this case, we are not going to check for high shear or low shear. Remember, only in case of laterally supported beam, we are going to check whether the section is subjected to high shear or low shear. But in case of laterally unsupported beam, it doesn't matter whether the section is subjected to high shear or low shear. You have to proceed this way only. Okay. So whatever I have written here is from the code, and I have called those formulas by equation number 1, equation number 2, 3, etc. Look here. And in a sequence. So then again find out what is MCR, find out from this formula, then put that MCR value here. Okay. And here. And all the values are known. Find out lambda LT. So alpha LT is 0.21, or lambda LT you just calculated. Substitute those values in the formula here to find out what is phi LT. Then substitute the value of phi LT in this equation wherever applicable, and also lambda LT from here to here. Okay, get chi LT that is going to be less than 1 normally. So if it is not less than 1, if it exceeds 1, take 1. Once you have the value of chi LT, which is the stress reduction factor, substitute the value of chi LT in this equation. Okay, Fy is known, gamma My is known. Get the value of FBD. Okay, so once you have the value of FBD, substitute the value of FBD in this equation. Okay, and beta B is known. If it is plastic, its value is 1, plastic or compact, or else it's a different value. And ZTZ is known. FBD, just now we calculated, find out what is MD value. Compare this value, and of course this value should be greater than M max, that is a design bending moment due to the design load. Is it clear to you? So again, so this is the example we have done. So what it is, so first I have taken this formula. I have written those formulas in a sequence, okay, and I called those equations 1, 2, 3 up to 6. Find out, first tackle 6, make use of the value from 6 and substitute in equation 5. Then afterwards, go to equation 4, get phi LT, then go to equation 3, get chi LT, then go to equation 2, get FBD, then go to equation 1 to get MD value. Okay, so write those formulas and substitute, keep substituting the values and start moving upwards. Okay, so if you look at this example, first I have calculated what MCR value. And if you look at this formula, whatever values required to find out the MCR, I have written here. What is IY? That is nothing but IYY. You are going to get from the steel table. What is HF? So HF is nothing but H minus the thickness of the flange. So that is the distance between the centroid of the compression flange and the tension flange. That is HF. Okay, so after calculating HF, you know RY value or RYY, you can get that value from the steel table, and also the thickness of the flange you will get from the steel table or from the code book. Then what is LLT? So LLT, if you look at again at the code book on page number 54, second column, you look at the equation MCR equal to something which we have made use of. Just below that it is given as LLT. LLT is the effective length for lateral torsional buckling. Okay, LLT is the effective length for lateral torsional buckling. Okay, that is equal to 1.0 L I have written in this case, where L is the span of the beam. Why 1.0 here? So for that, so what you must do is go to page number 58, look at table 15. If you look at table 15, it says effective length for simply supported beams. The effective length is LLT. So that is depending on the end conditions of the beam. So end condition, the beam end is having torsional restraint and also warping restraint. Okay, so different torsional restraint and different warping restraint. So depending on that, we take the effective length of the beam as 0.70 L, where L is the total span, 0.75 L, 0.8 L, etc. At some point it is 1.0 L plus 2D, etc. Okay, so that is the one we use for normal loading condition. For destabilizing, you don't have to worry about. Okay, only for normal condition, unless specifically it says whatever the condition the beam is going to be subjected to is destabilizing for the beam, then you have to use the last column. Otherwise, you are going to use the values under normal. So under normal, what I have done is, partially restrained by bottom flange, supported connection, that is torsion restrained, warping not restrained in both flanges have taken. Sorry. Torsion restraint, fully restrained have taken, warping not restrained in both flanges have taken. So as a result, the effective length LLT is going to be 1.0 L, where L is the span. Okay. If the end condition is specifically given, then again you come to the table. Okay, pick up the right factor. In this case, I have taken LLT equal to 1.0 times the L value. Okay, so where L is the effective span, which is 5 meter. Finally, I got the LLT value equal to 5,000 millimeter. So E is known. So by knowing all the or by collecting all the information to use in this formula, substitute all the values here to get the value of MCR. Okay. So once you have the value of MCR, go up by one step, that is go to equation 5 and substitute all the values. So here we got lambda LT value equal to 1.04. Of course, that should be less than or at most equal to 1.072. So take lambda LT equal to 1.04. Okay. What in case lambda LT exceeds 1.072? Then in that case, take 1.072. In other words, we have two values of lambda LT. One is 1.04 and the other is 1.072. Take lesser of those two values. Okay. So in this case, 1.04 is the value we are taking as lambda LT. So that is greater than 0.40. Then only we can say we can design this beam as laterally unsupported beam. What? Instead of 1.04, if you get the value less than 0.40, then we can ignore the beam as laterally unsupported. Instead, we can design the beam as laterally supported. Okay. So on what basis you are going to say it? So that's what the code says. If you go to page number 54, first column under 8.2.2, if you go a little bit below this, you will have 3 points A, B and C. Under point C, it says in case of major axis bending, lambda LP is as defined here. Lambda is less than 0.4. In that case, what the code says, again go up, read those 3 lines under 8.2.2. Resistance to lateral torsional buckling need not be checked separately in the following cases. Okay, that means it should be considered as laterally restrained beam if the value of lambda LT is less than 0.40. So in this case, greater than 0.40, then we have to check the section for lateral torsional buckling. So keep substituting the values. Finally, we get phi LT equal to 1.129. Again, go to the next formula, one step above, find out what is chi LT. Okay, what is the value of chi LT we got? That is 0.6376. Of course, that is less than or at most equal to 1.0. Okay, so again, substituting that value in equation 2, that is chi LT multiplied by Fy divided by gamma MO, we get the value of FBD equal to 144.90 Newton per millimeter square. As I said, so that is almost always less than Fy divided by gamma MO. So what is Fy divided by gamma MO? This is the value. How much it is? 250 divided by 1.10, that is equal to 227 Newton per millimeter square. Is it clear to you? And of course, FBD 144.90 Newton per millimeter square is less than 227.0 Newton per millimeter square. Okay. That means the stress in the material is not going to reach the design strength of Fy divided by gamma MO. Instead, at this stress, that is at the stress of 144.90 Newton per millimeter square, the beam buckles or fails. So that FBD value should be considered. Okay, because we are taking FBD value less than Fy divided by gamma MO, obviously we need higher section to take care of the given moment or the design moment. Okay, that is the reason, if you remember, we increased the ZP value by 50% to account for lateral torsional buckling. Is it clear to you? So coming back to this, so once we obtain the value of FBD, go to equation 1. See here, again, I'll go back. These are the formulas. So go up from 6 to 5, 5 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 1. That is the way the problem has been solved. Okay, once FBD is known, substitute all the values in equation 1. So this is equation 1. Okay, beta B is known, ZP is known, FBD we just now calculated, find out what is MB value, which is 255.11 kilonewton meter. That is the design strength or design capacity of the section we have selected by taking lateral torsional buckling into consideration. Okay, so compare that value with 239.07 kilonewton meter. So what is 239.07 kilonewton meter? That is the moment. Okay, that is the bending moment due to the design load coming on the beam. Okay, capacity should be greater than the bending moment caused due to the load. So here the capacity is more, 255.11 kilonewton meter. So the section is adequate as far as bending is concerned. Okay, so that is done. Please hold on for a second. One second, please. Okay, then afterwards check for shear. So there is absolutely no difference between how we check for shear in the laterally supported beam and the check for shear we are going to do here. Okay, so there is no question of high or low shear. So simply find out what is the design strength of the section in shear. So that is given by Vn divided by gamma MO. So gamma MO is here and Vn is this. Vn is nothing but the shear area of the section and Fy by root 3 is the yield stress of the material in shear. Okay, so what is AV? AV is the shear area that is equal to the thickness of the web multiplied by the overall depth of the beam, that is H multiplied by TW, where H is the total depth. So H is represented by two ways in the code book. Sometimes they call the total depth as capital D, sometimes the total depth as H. Okay, so this is the shear area, shear strength. This is the shear area, then design shear strength, and the partial safety factor will give you the design shear strength of the section VD. Okay, so this is the VD value. Okay. Okay, that is the capacity of this section. So what is the Vmax value? That is the maximum design shear force developed due to the design load coming on the beam. That is WL by 2. Okay, here VD is greater than Vmax. So the section is adequate or good enough to take care of shear. Okay, now the shear is safe. Check for deflection. Yes, convert the value into service load. Okay, find out what is the actual deflection. Compare that with L by 300, which we got from table 6, of course, on page 31, and compare the actual deflection with the allowable deflection. So actual deflection should always be less than or at most equal to the allowable deflection. So in this case, 5.92 is way below 16.67 millimeter. Therefore, the deflection condition is also satisfied. Okay. Next, check for web buckling and check for web crippling. You know how to do it. Okay. Or else, if you don't want to do this, check what is the value of d by tw. And if it is less than 67 epsilon, less than or at most equal to 67 epsilon, you can say, so the web is safe as far as web buckling and web crippling is concerned. So then write that comment and end it. Once that is done, finally, you are going to write this. So we shall provide whatever the section we have selected. Okay. So you don't have to again solve any numerical problems. Instead, you simply write the steps or write the procedure. Okay. So with that, we are going to coming to an end for the design of laterally supported and laterally unsupported beams. Okay. So next there are connections, beam to beam connections. Absolutely no problems, no design problems of beam to beam connection or beam to column connection, etc. It is only figure and explanation, figure and explanation. So when I start this tomorrow, so what I do is I'm going to write the figures on the board. Okay. So that you can see it. So if I explain this, yes, some of you may understand it, some of you may not be able to understand it. That is, you may not be able to visualize it. It is better I show it on the board tomorrow, and so I can show it. You are going to see it. Then by drawing the figure step by step, okay, you will get some idea on how the connections are made. Okay. So there are different types of connections. That is beam to beam connection. Okay, again, this is beam to beam connection. This is the main beam. That is that I section, that is also called as a girder. And there are two beams coming and sitting on the main beam. So those two beams are secondary beams. So this is the main beam. Okay. Then again beam to beam connection, there is another case, bolted and also welded condition. Afterwards, beam to column connection, beam is coming and sitting on a column through the connection and transferring the load. Similarly, one more beam to column connection, which I am going to explain in the next class. And after this comes beam to beam column to column connection. So if you take any I section, it has some limited length. So you cannot manufacture 1 kilometer of or 100, 200 meters of length of I section, because it poses problem in manufacturing. We cannot manufacture that long. And also, even if you manufacture, you cannot carry it to the site in the road. Okay, that is the reason we are going to make those I sections for a specific size or for a specific length, and we are going to transport it to the spot. So when we are constructing a high-rise building, what happens is whatever the section length we bought from the market, okay, may not be adequate. In that case, we need to connect one section over the put one section over the other and we need to connect them. That is called splicing. Okay, so there is a design for this connection which you don't have to worry about. Okay, and I'm going to explain how they are connected in the next class on the board. Okay, guys. So is there any doubt for you now? So if you have doubt, please let me know. So I'm going to end this class now. Okay, and I'm going to start this drawing part tomorrow. So once these two things are over, so this module is over. Okay, you'll have 2 questions in this module. Okay, and this is, you know, this one, it is one of the smaller modules. Okay, and you can answer 2 questions easily. So according to the new pattern of the examination, I think, so you have open choice question, wherein you don't have to pick one question from each module. Instead, you can randomly answer 5 questions, picking up from any module in any combination. Okay, so if that is the choice, try to make a choice by picking up both the questions from this module. Okay, you will get around 50, not 50, or 2 questions full. With this, guys, I'm ending today's class. Okay, and we will meet again tomorrow. So let me stop recording.